Hey everyone, welcome back FOF family, and we are here with a match of the week of two great teams, BBZ versus INT, some of the best teams that we have in the league, and I'm so excited to see them play against each other once again. And with here with me we have my boy, the best co-caster in Man Could Ask For. Go ahead.
Yay! Huh?
How you doing today, man?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing okay. And bans are coming out super fast. We have Victor, Shen, and Ezreal already taken off the board, and then Jenna, Sion, and Morgana taken out from the side of INT. What type of draft do you think INT is going to be going for?
I'm thinking INT is gonna. Okay, the guy doesn't have. Okay, well, Enchanter support, but I'm assuming that they're gonna draft around like a very powerful jungler. I'm expecting. I don't know for sure, but I'm expecting a jungle pick towards the second fate. Oh, actually, if BBZ picks their jungle this early, then INT has the option to pick their jungle as well, just to try and counter.
Yep, really strong jungle pick with the Udyr being locked in. BBZ is really going to be throwing down the gauntlet on Boxwell to see if he's going to take either that Morgana or the Rumble, which would be the two best junglers available. And both teams have opted to go for a more Enchanter support style. Even though
Yeah.
Karma is a flex pick and can also head into that top or mid, depending on how the rest of these compositions flow out. And Seraphine is going to be locked in, and the Kog'Maw, so a lot of big damage and a lot of support utility for the side of this Kog'Maw.
Honestly, I think they were foreseeing something like a Lulu Kog'Maw. I don't know if that's actually standard nowadays, but it's an option by picking or shadow or what by picking out the Kog'Maw when they see the Lulu. So Tristana Lulu, a good option. This is a very mobile team on the side of BBZ. You have speed ups by the Lulu, Udyr rocking at Mach 10 and just stat checking everyone, and Tristana jumping every 4 seconds.
Yeah, absolutely. And then on the side of INT, they've already drafted a very support heavy composition. It's a little damage so far, but a lot of protection for this Kog'Maw. And Seraphine just provides so much with her R and her shields that she provides. So I really like how what the INT has chosen to go for, especially if Kenny Hammerspites has it in him to be the solo carry of the team.
Yeah, I'm hoping that maybe they just pick in four supports, like support jungler, support. Actually, could be another support top laner, if assuming the Karma is the support. But just having a super Kog'Maw, maybe one peel tank, like a Tark or something, would be very nice. But that would be a very interesting comp to see, and I feel like INT would go for something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've been seeing Kog'Maw just overkill people so much that now he has a tank build that's been coming out. A lot of people have been opting to go for that. You basically build one attack speed item, one or two, and just go full tank after that. So interesting to see if that's what Kenny chooses to go for.
Yeah,
Has
something
very
that
low
goes in the
margin
middle.
of error, but you do less damage. That is the case, but people have been choosing to do that just to make sure this Kog'Maw is virtually unkillable.
Yeah, I mean, at this point with the Seraphine Karma, he's Naya and invulnerable at this point, the Silas. And actually, I'd say a decent pick with the Seraphine ultimate to be stolen, but that's not a lot of selection that you're going for. So Silas in that situation, you'd have to be more confident in your mid laner to actually play him at a base level rather than focus on the ultimates that you could steal in this situation, because Kog'Maw ultimate as being stolen or Karma does not seem very useful.
Yeah, and the Bow Sejuani has returned. He has still
Ooh.
choosing to go for this pick. It's in my opinion, it has not been very effective. It's very weak in certain avenues of the game, and it has a very slow clear. I would have personally preferred the Rumble, but this is a Bow special. This is something he's played for an extended period of time, and something they must be very confident in with the Sejuani Renekton combo coming out.
Yeah, honestly, I've seen Bo on other champions. I think before we saw him on the Zac, wasn't too spicy. I've seen him personally on what I believe was a Kane, and like it doesn't go the best, but when he goes on the Sejuani, it just hits different. It just feels like he has so much more impact because of like I guess the tankiness, the counter jungling. He just has a bunch more styles that he's like more comfortable because of this champion.
Yeah, Boxboat is very good at champions who have non-committal engage. Sejuani is one of the very few tank junglers where she doesn't have to full commit to get her engage off. The R is very long range. You can just toss it out. If you miss it, it doesn't matter. You can disengage after that. So that is something that Boxboat really excels at, and I'm happy to see him take that avenue in a composition where a tank was extremely necessary to round out what they've already selected.
Yeah. Do you think you have any predictions for this match?
I think that INT has drafted a composition that's easier to execute, so I would more so lean into that direction. I think BBZ has been extremely up and down recently, and I'm not very confident in their ability to, push this one out in a camp in a game where they don't just straight up have the draft advantage. So I'm gonna take INT.
I'm thinking BBZ. Their last game was not spicy, but they were on the ropes. I think I remember their coach was mad at them, so they couldn't do lounge. So they had to go and practice, and I'm hoping that practice pays off. So I'm going for BBZ this time.
Yeah, and I'm thinking we're gonna find out right away as we're gonna get right into the
Ooh,
match with BBZ
invade.
looking for an invade.
Do you think? Okay, Udyr has a tiger onesie. Would he counts as a furry, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, just double checking. Just want to confirm my
And,
suspicions.
yep, and
Oh,
really well done usage of the saddles from our producer. Kog'Maw is gonna be in trouble. He's gonna be spotted, and now they are gonna be looking for a commitment from the Nautilus that does not come through. And Kog'Maw is gonna slowly waddle his way out and not fall super far behind by receiving an early death.
yeah, this is a very tense game. I feel like this is going to be more even between these teams because 6-4 versus 6-4. I'd say the skill level of both teams, not as individuals, but as teams, are probably just even. Whereas I would say, oh, it's a little poke there. But the
Yep, he
individual
who
skill
slops is
level
gonna
of
take a bunch of gold
INT.
from that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, actually, how much gold he gets? Not a significant amount, but it's very nice to have.
More than 0, so net win.
Well, he gets 20 Oh, he's making bank. That's the game right there. We can call it now. Just all my points in.
Absolutely. Early gold lead goes over to INT. He's cashing his
The
checks and he's
high
ready to.
roller.
Absolutely. And look at the lanes that we have seen. Lulu is going to be going into that top side. This is going to be a solo lane. Lulu, very strong laner, but can be kind of vulnerable to dives before that 6 comes through.
Yeah, as far as range versus melee goes, the Renekton does have some closing, or some way to gap closer to get to that Lulu, but the Renekton is playing a dangerous game because if you commit that hard, Lulu, being a support, has pretty consistent damage against you.
Absolutely. But Renekton has managed to get the push early, so he has that E available. We're going to get an empowered Q and an auto down. So that is the trade pattern Renekton likes to go for. And now this wave is going to be frozen a bit as Nier has chosen to push it into the corner where it's not going to be pushing back into the Renekton right away.
I hope that Dax is going for a full clear. If he takes Wolves, yeah, I believe he's going for a full clear. And because, as you said last game, these extra long timers on these camps gives you more opportunity to make some magic happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And this lane state is really, really difficult for Renekton. You see he's not having that ability to stack up those things, but this is a bunch of damage going onto this
Oh.
the Seraphine as Silas has landed everything in this early game. Lights is a very, very strong, talented laner, and Evolves is going to need to be concerned with so little health so early on.
Yeah, it makes me more relieved that like Silas isn't being picked because you want ultimates to steal. He's being picked because Lights knows how to play Silas, and that's much more comforting to me.
Yeah, absolutely. And you see this health lead already developing in this bot lane. This lane gets to the point where Kog'Maw can face tank everything with Karma Shield and still kill both of them. So that is going to be very concerning, especially with Sunga taking so much damage so early on.
Yeah, they actually see where Dax is. The Sejuani isn't being so active on her side of the map. No, if they knew where they started, you could probably have a contention for the top lane Herald without top prio. You probably don't get it. I like what the Udyr is doing, but there's not too much you could pick off after here. You could assume maybe go for the Krugs, but I don't know if that's worthwhile at this point.
Yeah, it looks like Sejuani has gone on a slightly inoptimal path. In the full clear, she's not a very good crow clear, so she wanted to make sure she secured that crab. And now she's going to be a camp behind with you see Udyr is going to be pathing up to this top side, but is he going to make it in time? That's going to be the stun landing onto the Lulu. She's going to be getting the flash out, so she is going to make it out. But this wave's still shoving away from her, so she's going to need Udyr to really help rebalance this lane.
I would honestly say that they had kill pressure because if Renekton and Sejuani have flash, then that one auto would get off the stun and extra damage.
Oh, here
Actually, a
we go.
read
Bug
game
Explode is
here.
just going to go right back, and that's a lot of damage taken in, but
Oh,
the heal from the Renekton is going to come in with Brock Lee taking down Nier.
I was honestly gonna say that Nier just like, oh, he knows what he's doing. He played that pretty well. The flash was timed very nicely. Maybe Bo should have actually held on to it, because she knew that the flash was actually available. But I mean, from what we're seeing, it's actually just slight misplays here and there, and it's a little bit of edge going through.
Absolutely. I think that was just a miscommunication on the side of Nier and Dax. Dax is on the same side of the map as Nier, and the jungler not being able to path up to that top side to make sure this Lulu can safely get this push out. She had teleport available, so she wouldn't have lost much from Burning Flash if that had happened. And Bow Explode gets kind of a cheesy gank off that's going to make neutralize a lot of the CS advantage that Dax has picked up.
Honestly, the CS advantage isn't just with Dax. I'm seeing an insane CS advantage by 20, or actually 27 around, just through Lights being at this point knowing how to play Silas, being the better laner in these
Yeah,
matchups.
and he is going to be going in. That's going to be a double Seraphine R hit, a bunch of damage coming through. Boxplodes is going to be struggling to take down Lights with all that passive coming through from the Silas, and now that's going to be a stun landed up onto the Seraphine. She's going to be in trouble. Dax is going to get a big Phoenix stance and take her down as Evolve is going to drop, and that's going to be a double kill in this mid lane.
Yeah, that is a very generous amount of damage and gold going over to Lights. Like, he was already ahead at this point when it was neutral gold, so I could only assume that he will obliterate this lane and then hopefully other lanes with this gold advantage.
Yeah, that was a base having already been taken, and he was massive at that point. He's going to go back, pick up that lost chapter. The book is ready. He did not opt to go for the ring and start stacking it up. Not enough disrespect in Lights' pocket on that end, but that is a bunch of damage that he has now over the Seraphine that he's going to be able to utilize in these next coming fights.
Yeah, I'm expecting here, just hoping for like some action to go down in the bottom, but it seems that not too much is going to happen, and I feel that Nier has learned his lesson from the first time, probably just sits at tower for most of the time, and without TP advantage from top, this dragon is possible, but very risky if they know what's going on.
And INT is in a very weak spot to attempt to even contest the dragon for the foreseeable future. They have basically a mid 2v2 that provides no damage whatsoever, so they're going to be really reliant on Kog'Maw having position to actually be able to push out. And their bot side between Kenny and He Who Stops has been opting to be more of a passive laner. They're not trying to hard pressure out Red, so they're just going to have that pressure to use to use to get these objectives.
Yeah, I liked okay, before I was like, oh, INT know what they're doing. They're gonna go for that late game scaling, having the Kog'Maw be insane. But if BBZ are gonna win the early and mid game, you could probably shut out their late game plans on the side of INT.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's still a lot of scaling in this composition, so there's much to wait for, and BBZ is gonna need to execute their composition extremely well to find this Kog'Maw early on in the fight, so he cannot rain down the damage, because at least until super late game, he's gonna have the range advantage onto this Tristana.
Yeah, the range advantage, but I'm not too sure about the mobility. Oh,
Oh, here we go. That's
mobility
gonna be
one.
Red jumping in. I don't. What is he doing,
Huh?
man? He's gonna take a
Huh?
bunch of damage, just feed over a kill to Kog'Maw. There was no way that was ever gonna be successful. He must have thought Karma was way farther away than she was. The shield comes through, and that's just a dead Tristana.
That was very confusing. I mean, I'm not too sure. I guess it was just different expectations on where we would see the Karma. I mean, from our understanding, we saw Karma leave, maybe just out of vision, so I assume that they thought they were roaming because they don't have too much vision on the dragon side of BBZ, which is actually a problem I'm seeing with most of the map, actually. Where
Absolutely,
INT
but you
has a
had to
lot
have
more
known he
vision.
wouldn't be walking away super far.
Yeah.
It's not going to be. This is a Karma. Karma's not a champion that's going to be running all the way to the mid lane, and even if he was, why would he be going this for? Here's a gank that's going to be landing onto the Renekton. The stun is going to be following through. This is a 3-on-2, so they're both going to be needing to get out. That is a really tanky Sejuani, but he is not going to make it, and Boxful is going to drop to near. That is really important for this scaling, as Lulu needing as much gold as possible is really big for the Shishtana in the late game.
It seems that Nier has learned his lesson. Like, you are a support top laner at this moment. Like, while you do have some pretty decent damage as Lulu, just with how the champion works, like, you could not play that far ahead against the Sejuani Renekton, especially with the repeat ganks. But relying on your team to just get you a lead so you can last through that laning phase is going to be really smart on their side.
Yeah, absolutely. This time he opted to ask his teammates for help to get that push coming in and not allow another gank to be set up. Really, really smart from the side of BBZ getting that kill over, especially from the disadvantage that had just been accrued in this bot side. But that's going to be Broccoli picking up a plate here. But he's now going to be in a really, really difficult spot with no Dominus available and coming back with a Lulu with double buffs that he has to fight.
Yeah, it seems that BBZ just constantly learn from their mistakes, like mid-game. It's not the worst strategy because it's working. Like, oh, Lulu?
Yeah, this is concerning. I don't think
Oh
Renekton
no.
can win this. Wild Growth will be up before Dominus, and now you have to be kite out with all these autos coming through. The slow is going to come down. Whimsy is still available if Renekton even
Got a
attempts to
flash.
go back in. Nier's getting so much damage. The flash is going to come out. A follow-up flash is available. He's going for the move speed
What?
option. He hasn't flashed in yet. That's going to be the EQ landing from Nier, but he's taking a bunch of tower damage, and he's going to get us find a solo kill onto this Renekton.
The balls on this champion. Okay, so Lulu had the option to flash through the wall, just get a secured kill, but like he held it out just to the very last second, and like the red buff blue buff combo basically guaranteed him that fight.
Yeah, that is a fight you cannot take without Dominus available, and Broccoli underestimated the amount of damage a Lulu can put out with just those autos attacks. She does get amplified auto attacks on herself even when the
Uh,
shield cast is used, so that is something that you need to watch out for. And with more gold going over to Lulu, this is really, really scary for the side of INT.
yeah, what this means is that the already tanky Silas will just never die. Really, the already tanky every member on the side of BBZ. Like, you're not gonna kill the Lulu because you have the backup on the team with the R, and you're not gonna kill the Tristana because she'll just jump away. No one kills Udyr, of course, and the Silas will heal up, just to an absurd amount with all that base healing he has on his character. So they're really safe now with the Lulu ad.
Yeah, and then this is a ward that's going to be spotted from the side of Boxpo, so he is going to be using that sweeper, and that is going to be spotted. But you do have Dax and you have Lights moving down, so with this pink ward dropping and a teleport being forced out on
Oh,
the side of the Seraphine, are they going to
oh.
still go for this? The Q is going to go wide and not land onto Lights, so with 4 people into this bot side, they've managed to protect off the dive, and that's really big for this side of INT.
Yeah, the main motivation for these dives is just to get the Herald down, and with more people being redistributed towards the bot lane, they're going to place what I assume is the Herald mid lane, get the gold plating, and then rotate towards the
Yeah, absolutely. And
dragon.
this is an unwinnable 2v2. This should not be enough damage from the side of the Bow Explode and the Seraphine, but they're still getting a bunch of damage onto Dax. Dax has taken some tower shots, and now the Flash is going to come in, and the E is going to go wide. Seraphine are still available for the Silas. So even with the disadvantage of having that tower be right there, the Dax and Light still do manage to make it out.
Yeah, these are poorly timed resets. Like, you tried to have an advantage be created by Dax, but because it went wrong, you have all 5 members on this dragon, and there's no chance of you taking it back.
Yeah, and this is an illegal play. INT has no right to be picking up this dragon, but because of some mistakes from BBZ, you have a composition that's so weak in this mid game, getting a Dexter dragon down, and that prevents early stacking.
Yeah, I'm thinking that you have more opportunities later in the future because you have lights and near just with the teleport advantage as a result. So maybe they're holding out because if they're going for later opportunities, that would be okay. But as far as I'm aware, you'd want to go for maybe just 5-man bottom or more effectiveness towards different objectives.
Yeah, absolutely. That would be the next move. Boxplode has not fallen super far behind this Udyr. This is really common for the side of Dex. He does not really play to maintain huge jungle advantages. He's always trying to help his lanes. So even if he gets ahead early, usually it tends to even out in the mid game. Not something that's necessarily always to his advantage, especially in a matchup where Sejuani is going to be able to provide such easy CC. And that is something that INT can use to really look for some of these fights, especially with this Rip Herald spawning topside.
Yeah, I'm expecting the Udyr to eventually. I mean, I would hope that the Udyr, with the faster clear speed, would get more done, and just while having more CS, it's yeah, no, it is evening out. But regardless, I feel like Udyr is just a champion that'll stat check you anyways. Just walk in, stun you, and run away, and that's gonna lead to the Kog'Maw's eventual downfall.
Yeah, absolutely, but there is a concern if Udyr doesn't win the stack check. He provides such little. He is not a very good scaling jungler because he doesn't provide a lot of CC. But this is going to be evolved noob getting caught out. The stun is going to land, but the double charm isn't going to prevent a lot of damage. But Silas is going to get so much damage out, and that's going to be Dax picking up another kill in this mid lane.
I feel like it's just a Dax light combo that they're gonna take the tower, they're gonna farm gold, and they're gonna run away with this game.
Yeah, they are looking to punish the Seraphine at every opportunity, and Boxbold is in this top side. Near is a dive target if you layer your CC properly, but it looks like they're concerned about any follow-up from Lights or Dax being there, but Lights and Dax are on the bot side.
No.
Now you have the Kog'Maw getting a big trade. Look at all those autos coming down. Sungo is getting chunked. Now that you have a position where this E needs to land, he who stops is going to flash away. Kog'Maw's taking a bunch of damage, but still has flash. Now he's in the tower. Dax is going to die to the tower. Sungo is taking a bunch of damage. He's going to barely be walking it out. Kenny Hammerspike still has a lot of HP. The E is not going to land.
No.
The dodges are coming out from Kog'Maw. Now you have Hugh Suspect giving Kog'Maw another kill, and that Karma is still alive. Is this going to be a kill out to Karma? The E has been dodged again for Lights. Red is jumping in, but he's going to be jumping out with such little HP, and the minions are going to pick it up.
What just happened?
And that is
that was
extremely
difficult.
unlucky. Even for Red, who had just picked up the kill, he gave that kill over to the Kog'Maw. And even though in the top side you did have Bo Explode and Red Nectin picking up a kill onto this Lulu, that is just advantages across the map.
What? That is no bueno. I feel like Lulu should have backed off, and because you have the TP advantage from Lulu, like that's the entire reason why you didn't use it before. So with that TP advantage, you either want to try and 5-man bot with your Enchanter support that makes you much more safe, or you want to not miss like 4 E's in a row. And I mean, while he did get out unscathed, the rest of its team did not, and it ended up being a 4v2, ending up trading for 2v3. So even with that tower dive, BBZ ended up on the unfortunately weaker hand.
Yeah, the weak side of it, and that is a lot of kills being fed over to this Kog'Maw. Pretty much, with all those ankles being broken on the side of he who slaps the Kenny Hammerspikes. Now you have a Kog'Maw. Yeah, shout out to Sheridan. Now you have a Kog'Maw who's picked up multiple kills. He's in a position where he can carry. The Kraken and the boots are already locked in for him, and him being outpacing Tristana is a real win condition for INT.
Yeah, like, Kog'Maw is now a viable thing that you can go for in this game, like, rather than going for some massive team fight. I mean, Kog'Maw at the end of the day was going to be your main source of damage anyways, and that's what I'm hoping that the Udyr could just turbo chem tank and run at him really fast for. But, like, at this point, now he's an actual threat, and INT have a way back into this game.
Yeah, and Red is going to be in a position where he's going to need to really manage his auto range and prevent himself from getting CC'd by this point-and-click CC from the Renekton and the long-range Seraphine arc, because he's going to have to do a massive amount of damage to make up for how much Kog'Maw can deal just from hitting this front line. And now they're going to be grouping around mid. A little bit of the NA Aram happening as there's not really much that can be provided. Boxblow does have the Rift Herald, and that seems to be what they are looking for next. This mid tower is extremely critical to get taken down as soon as possible, so they have position for this dragon.
Yeah, I mean, while BBZ does have the team, they have the space grabbed. They were actually more proactive in grabbing this space. You could see just countering an objective by just going for his second turret or the third.
Yeah, absolutely, and this is going to be the fight. Sungo is going to be getting caught out. He's taking a bunch of damage, but the R is going to be landing. Kog'Maw is in trouble. He's taking so much. Kog'Maw is going to drop first. He is going to get a trade kill onto the Silas. Lights is big. Now you have the tanks doing all of the damage. That's a huge Renekton Q as he picks up everybody with the dominance.
What just happened? It feels like that at every moment, like, okay, I feel like eyes on the Renekton for this replay. So it seems that on every moment, it doesn't work out. Like, it's going okay. Like, you see the Nautilus, he survives. The Seraphine misses ult completely. Lights actually gets down on the kill on the Kog'Maw, but it doesn't matter because Broccoli is the hidden giant here.
Yeah, Red jumps in. You're in the middle of the team with a mid-game Renekton. You're not going to win that. As that is the Iron Spike Whip from the from the Gore Drinker, multiple sources of healing, and such a huge amount of damage coming out from this Renekton. And now he's in a position where he is big.
Yeah, the gold value from the dragon probably will not make too much of a difference. If BBZ want to get back into this game, you either have to do it by having stellar team fights, in which I don't know how they would do that. I don't even know if they can do that, but their other option back into this game would just be amazing objective control. Because while they did get the dragon, I feel like they were overconfident. Honestly, I thought they could have won that too. But if you're able to get the dragon and sacrifice Songo and get out, then that's going to be your best bet here.
Yeah, I think that was a really greedy fight given where you're at the game. Lulu is not going to doesn't have a lot of items. She's not going to do as much as a Renekton in the mid game. And when you're in a position where no one really can kill him when you have to do so much just to get this Kog'Maw down. And even then, Kog'Maw almost lived. He was kiting it out. He almost made it. And then that fight could have been even more disastrous than it already was.
Yeah, because if you get Kog'Maw there, I mean, your next hope is to pick out Renekton just for that extra health, but with the I forgot that claw, I forgot what it's called.
Sterak's.
But Sterak's, okay. But with Sterak's, he's gonna be able to just live out and stall until his team can get there, and this is the most dangerous part of the game, just for BBZ.
Yeah, and unfortunately, these lane assignments for the side of INT are not the best. You have Kog'Maw running into the bot side where he could have been vulnerable to a 1v1 with the Sylas. Multiple teleports are going to be available, and now Renekton is caught out. He is in between BBZ and Team San Sungo. Are they going to be able to find him? The slice and dice is going to land. The root from the auto attack is going to come out. The Nautilus hook got the angle. So this is a lot of damage that's going to be coming out to this Renekton. Dominus has been popped. Now they're going to try to get out. The R from this Sejuani is going to land onto the Nautilus. Nautilus is going to be dropping in just a moment. He is going to be flashing out multi-man Seraphine ultimate stolen from the Sylas as Lights is huge. He's getting a bunch of damage down, but he is in his hourglass, and now they are getting forced out as his team cannot provide him anything further. And now you have Bulk Explode flashing back in. The Buster Shot is going to prevent anything else from occurring, but as a 2-for-1 in front of Baron.
Is this just like a composition difference? Because that is a 4v5. Your main source of damage on the side of INT isn't there. I mean, well, you do have a Renekton that's ahead. Like, I don't understand how they lost that.
You're fighting into Renekton with Dominus up.
Honestly, yeah. I mean,
yeah,
I assume that the Kog'Maw would have made a slight difference because it's a 5v4, but I guess not. He's just built different.
Yeah, this is not. It's not going to go out to your advantage in those types of team fights, especially when your Tristana is not big enough yet. She does not have the items to chunk through a Renekton at this point. He is getting huge heals off with the Gore Drinker. They are clumping up so heavily in these fights that are making it really easy for Renekton to just get huge multi-man Qs and getting all that extra damage out. And if you can't win a 4v5 at this point, you're going to be really, really concerned of how this mid game is going to occur. Where you still have to worry about this Kog'Maw.
Yeah, honestly, BBZ tends to play these games very standard, and for this particular situation, their habit of playing standards is actually working against them because they're usually.
Yep, and here's Dax getting caught out. He is going to get rooted up on the other end, but that's going to be the Sejuani R just landing onto red, barely clipping him. So there's no flash for this Nautilus, so he is going to drop instead, dying for his 80 carry sins, as that's going to be a flash away from red. As now Nier and Dax are both getting chased out. BBZ is just getting routed with all this extra damage, and the CC just landing onto priority targets.
Well, rest in peace, my channel points, because even without Broccoli, they could still just hand the fight over, just hand over foot.
Yeah, they are at a position into this game where execution is going to be massive, and they just have not found any useful engages. You have Lights on the top side who has teleport available, but he is your main threat, and he's not even there. So at this point, what do? Their front line is stronger. Their 80 carry is stronger. There's no avenue of the map where you're really advantaged, and you have to fight into so much shielding and shielding.
Yeah, in the past 2 team fights, I think not the most recent one, I haven't seen Seraphine hit the R, but like even that doesn't matter because with this value, the gold value we have now from the Baron, like you don't need to hit anything at this point. You just need to walk at the enemy and they'll crumble.
Yeah, absolutely. Seraphine R is not about the ones you miss; it's about the ones you hit. And if she hits a massive R at any point in these team fights, that's just going to be too much CC. And Tristana, it is not the same type of scaler as Kog'Maw. She does not shred frontline the same way. So even attempting the front to back at this point is something that shouldn't even be it shouldn't even be chosen as an option. They're gonna, if they want to win this game, they're gonna need to look into these side lanes, look to get Lights in an advantage where he can split push, get an advantage in that side lane and teleport in because a straight up 5v5 is not gonna be in their, is not gonna be in their advantage.
Yeah, I feel like INT are starting to win this because they know how BBZ works. It's been, I think, somewhat well known that BBZ, while they are a pretty high quality team, play very standard, front to back, as you said before. So in this situation, you have their Nectin. If you play front to back, you give them
And
three
here we
targets.
go. That's going to be the stun landing. Once again, Stungo is going to be getting caught out for his AD carry since he's taking a bunch of damage. And Red is going to get away. But now this is just going to be a free inhibitor tower for the side of INT. And as you were saying, this is something that has been pretty common among BBZ's gameplay. They are very good at playing standard, but they do not have the ability to come back very often as they seem to lack creativity in a lot of avenues. Like, look, even this, you have Light sitting on the flank. He is not even going to go for it, so they're just going to opt to just let this happen. And now that's going to be an inhibitor for free, and they're not going to have anything coming into this reprisal.
Yeah, Lights is just like not pulling the trigger because I don't
Oh,
think he's
Dax is pulling the trigger. He's running in 1v5, a bunch of damage.
Oh, no.
But now you have Tristana already running out. The rocket jump is burned. Now Dominus is going in. There is no damage being taken. Look at all these shields. Look at the speed coming from the Karma and the Seraphine. You cannot contest these fights. Now Sungo is going to get himself knocked up, but there isn't going to be anything further as the Seraphine ultimate is going to be jacked away by Sylas, and they're going to need to be concerned about getting hit by a multi-man Seraphine as they go in.
I think at this point, Red deals 0 damage to the massively just tanky Sejuani. Because at the first, I mean, of course, the Sejuani is the easiest to hit, but you just not doing any damage to them. I think at this point, it might be a problem with build. Going Lord Dom second instead of the Phantom's answer could be an option. Because at this point in the game, the Kog'Maw is way more effective gold-wise because of how his kit works.
Yeah, and basically on any opportunity where he's even items, he is going to get that net advantage, and he's going to be in a port where he's going to just be stronger than this Tristana. And at least until an IE comes through after a Lord Dominix, then you can maybe hope for Tristana just to outrange and get that extra damage down. But at the moment, Red has been getting maybe 2, maybe 3 auto attacks per fight, and that's not enough if they ever want to win a team fight.
Yeah, this is. Could they even stall that long? Because with 2 dragons up, that's like 10 more minutes maximum.
Unlikely.
No, I'm holding out. I have some, I have some hope, or copium as they would call it. But I'm hoping that BBZ can just stall it until you have like gold effective teammates.
Yeah, NA Copium is strong, but even then, you have 2 dragons, a Baron that's going to be spawning in the meantime. INT is ahead of a composition where they really should not ever have a gold lead, and now they're in a position where they have max drags and Fertile Dragon spawning, and if BBZ even attempts to fight for this, there's no way they can win it, so they're going to have to give this up, and they need to look to try to get some gold on this top side if they're going to get anything at all.
Yeah, if you want to stall the game, you need the gold. But if you need the gold, you're gonna have to go for a team fight that you somehow win. And BBZ, I don't think they know how to do those coordinated team fights or not coordinated team fights. They don't know how to do that. They need to pull out something new. You can't front to back it. You can't let Bo just sit on that.
Oh, here's a
front line.
teleport. This is going to be a flank. Dominus is there. That's going to be the hop out from the Tristana, and a bunch of damage going on to the Sungo. He's going to die for free. Likes is on the back line. Is he going to be able to do anything? Long range Seraphine ultimate is going to lock up near. Now the wild growth is just gone. There is not going to be that available, and this is just a 5-man stack on the side of the INT. They're going in for this Nexus. Are they going to be able to find the win? Dax is on the back line. He's going to be running away. Lights is still on the flank with Seraphine R. He's going to need to find something massive if they're going to prevent this end. And now the damage is coming out. Kenny is going to be there. The flash in on Tristana is going to be coming out. She's going to be jumping in. Big damage coming out from the side of Sylas. He is in his hourglass. He's going to be looking to use that R as soon as he gets out, but he's going to be stunned up. He is not going to make it. A lot of damage. Lights is going to drop a double kill for Kog'Maw. Kog'Maw is just firing away with no threat upon him, and as this damage is coming out, there's no one who's going to be matching it. Sungo is going to hook into the wall, so that's not going to even be available. We're still watching this fight. So much damage coming out, but all of it being mitigated as Sungo is going to get one shot again. He's going to be watching the green screen for the final time of this match, as he's not going to get a chance to respawn. Red is going to be looking to follow if he doesn't get that wild growth, and that's going to be INT locking up the game yet again.
Unfortunate. That's actually a good, okay, because BBZ actually started out pretty ahead, I would say. And while they did have good opportunities, like, I feel that INT just took a draft that countered what BBZ is known for.
Yeah, INT just seems to have BBZ's number. They execute better into when they face BBZ than when they face any other team. And at this point, you have to say, do you drop BBZ down to third now? UB still being able to top the charts is going to be BBZ, UB, BBZ, UB, INT, BBZ. They just been on this weird slump, and they haven't been able to dig themselves out of it.
I think it just depends because we've been shown clearly that you need to ban Bo's. I forgot what it's called. Oh my god. Sejuani. You need to ban his Sejuani because that's the one he actually shows up like. Like I've seen a bunch of his other champions. I don't think much actually compares into effective gameplay when he picks the Sejuani.
I mean, I would say that drafting just needs to be better. It needs to be. You need to have more avenues to win. You have basically for this game, the win condition was going to need to be Lights having a massive influence onto the damage charts. He would have to build extremely greedy, have a lot of AP to really chunk out some of these champions, and there's just not been enough. You see how much damage Tristana put out, and it still wasn't enough. So that is going to be the conclusion for me and Bean Jar today. Fantastic 2 games that we got to witness, and we're so happy to be here with you. But we're going to be trading it off from an interview with the victorious INT.
Hello, folks. Chris Edgeworth here for the second interview of the day. I am joined by the victorious He Who Slops from the win of In the Trees. How you feeling after the big win?
Doing well. We really pulled out a victory just didn't we?
That was it was a really fun game. It started really accelerating there towards the end for sure in your favor. Talk to me a little bit first before we talk about the game, about this draft that you folks put together. You guys get the wannabe Juggermaw. You put together the 2 enchanters with Seraphine and Karma in the bot lane. Bo, unfortunately, back to Sedge duty for him. What was it like putting together this draft? What did you think about what they put together against you?
I think with this draft, while we didn't get the Lulu, Karma is a very, very close second when it comes to supporting Kog'Maw, simply because of the Shurelius changes. The Shurelius changes have made Karma, how do I put this, Omega busted, with the ability to make Kog'Maw effectively offensive. Whereas Lulu's very defensive and make sure that the Kog'Maw can't die and will receive a lot of peel. Karma allows the Kog'Maw and everyone else in the fight to come in and engage very easily, for fights to almost be forced into a 5v5. Considering their
you can chase them. For people who aren't familiar with the changes, would you mind explaining explicitly what the changes were on the Shurelius? Because it was a very big buff, as you're saying.
It was a huge buff. Yes, it really is. It is a mythic, and its mythic passive used to just be move speed. It just had the typical active of buffing everyone on your team with move speed, and had a little like Nami enchanted damage attached to it. But it just wasn't powerful enough, and his numbers were too low. The changes they made to it was change its mythic passive to ability haste, which actually allowed it to be built way more often on way more characters, including characters that can abuse that ability haste like Karma, Zillion, other enchanters. And they also changed a passive on it, where they made it so that enchanting, buffing, or like shielding any ally will cause them to receive move speed. The biggest thing about this is that there is no external cooldown on it. So on Karma, if you mantra E and you hit everyone on the team, everyone receives the buff, regardless of context. So it's very abusable.
It is very abusable. I've already collected some elo myself using it. So, little tip out there for people. Let's talk a little bit about this game as it played out. So you were playing the Kog'Maw Karma bot lane. You guys were the lightning rod for a lot of BBZ's pressure. They had that ill-fated 4-man Fiesta bot dive. That was really INT interesting to watch them perpetrate on you. So talk to me about how it felt being in this matchup, receiving the amount of pressure that you did, and how you guys were able to work through that.
I did pick the Nautilus, which is a very offensive character. When it comes to pressure like this, when it comes to this composition, you will often see organized teams attempt to shut down a Kog'Maw, especially one that has somehow managed to get a kill. That is not uncommon. In fact, I would call it very common, simply because that is a train that cannot stop, a bus that has too much momentum, and if it gets going, the game's already over. So seeing that dive, while immediately surprising, look back on it, makes a lot of sense. I would say that having played this and practiced this composition, while I wouldn't say that the force of this pressure was low, I would say that the pressure is something that we often have to deal with and we were prepared for.
Definitely. I mean, it certainly goes to see from the victory that you guys pulled out here how decisive it was, especially over someone who is more or less, or it was, I think, until this very game, your equal on the standings. Both tied at 6 and 4. I was verifying that for myself. So, how do you feel now, having got this decisive win, about your place in the league as we look towards the playoffs? Do you see yourself, as they were saying on the cast, is this are you a tier apart from your contemporaries here at 6 and 4? Is there the UB tier and then you as the so-called challengers to UB?
I am optimistic that we will be able to provide some sort of competition towards UB. I wouldn't say that we have become some sort of tier above everyone else. I would say that we're playing better simply because schooling is starting to lighten for us, a whole lot of us. I'm actually very happy that we're starting to play better and we're starting to play together more so than before. The team is starting to feel better as of late.
Roll right on. Glad to hear that. We wish you luck as we get ready for the end of the season and the start of playoffs. He Who Slops, thank you for joining us. Do you have any final words before we step away to Game 3?
Yeah, sure. Let us all remember to have fun together. Nothing more, nothing less.
Wise words. Thanks so much for joining us, He Who Slops. Don't go anywhere, folks. We will be right back with Game 3, which is UB versus Falcon Esports.
All right, hello folks and welcome back. I am Shargan. Here joining with me today is the one and only Fang over Fang. How's it going, Brendan?
I am doing good. I believe I've been promised there will not be a single Senna pick today from the UB side. So, you know, my dopamine's high right now.
Well, hopefully. Like that's what we keep hearing is the lack of. Oh, there it is. There it is. It's hovered and it's gone.
Let's go, dude. FEC, my favorite team from now on. FEC is my new favorite team.
Now, if only we could get through this whole draft pick without a Wukong, I will be personally happy. Regardless of that, we've got the undefeated Universal Basic Income going up against the Falcon Esports. With this matchup, I think it's probably going to be really tricky. We got to see this draft. I'm hoping Falcon pulls out something crazy today.
And these are two new teams. I think Falcon Esports is actually the only team that we've ever seen beat UB at one point. I think FEC beat UB in the qualifiers in the preseason. So maybe they got him. There's a Morgana pick, which is one of the best in the game right now, one of the best champions, and then Rumble, which is one of the best champions who can go top, mid, jungle.
Yeah, definitely one of the better flex pick choices for Rumble right there. And the Morgana pick, personally, I like a lot just because of how much utility it'll bring to a team. There's a lot of just extra stuff on top. And then we're seeing a Draven pick out as well and a Tristana as a counter to that. So I have a love and hate relationship with Draven. I love him in the sense of good on you for going Draven, but at the same time, it's freaking Draven.
Yeah, I hope they don't. Okay, so they picked Ash, which is fine into it. I think that the best pick into Draven is Xayah for the future use. Xayah can actually outdamage Draven in these short trades with the E pullback and that kind of stuff with the W daggers as well.
Yep, you're able to avoid a lot of that damage that those double spinning axes can cause you. And the thing about Draven is I have a feeling that if FEC needs to protect their bot lane, because if they get enough kills on that Draven, UB might actually have a major damage threat that they have to worry about.
There is a lot, and I mean a lot of CC on UB's side right now. Literally every single champion is about CC lock. So...
And you've got a Leona as the counter CC. Leona nerfs are incoming, so you got to play her while you can right now. I'm not looking forward to that. It's going to be really upsetting, but at the same time, kind of understand.